I was reborn the day Lucas won his first Oscar. I was his manager for 5 years. Just as Lucas was about to break through to stardom, I got sick and died. It's been 3 years since I died. I was reborn in the body of a 20-something girl. Black-rimmed glasses, straight brown hair hanging limply around her face. She looked exactly like me when I first started working in Hollywood. I successfully interviewed and became Lucas Reed's assistant. Lucas is now at the peak of his career as a top-tier actor, completely different from when I worked with him before. He even has 5 assistants now, handling every aspect of his life. Anna, his senior manager, extended her hand after the interview. "Welcome to the company, Jenna. You'll be Lucas's personal assistant from now on." Anna rubbed her temples. This is already the 3rd personal assistant we've hired this year. I'll be honest with you, Lucas can be difficult to work with in his personal life. Prepare yourself mentally. Is there really a problem I can't handle? Lucas has had a terrible temper since his debut, plus he's incredibly laid back. Otherwise, with his talent, he wouldn't have taken so long to become famous. I followed him everywhere, constantly seeking opportunities and roles for him. It was exhausting, but I loved every minute of it. Lucas was completely different from other commercial actors. He was a method actor with incredible range. No matter what role he played, he brought something fresh and unexpected to it. I remember because of his laid-back attitude, we went nearly a year without booking a single job. He was incredibly picky. Any script he thought was poorly written or any role without depth, he'd reject. Until New Year's Eve that year, when he suddenly showed up at my apartment. Seeing me crouched in my tiny rental, eating instant ramen, he actually got a little angry. The next year, he booked 4 projects back to back. Of course, I was in love with Lucas. A lot of people were in love with him. He was devastatingly handsome, but not in an intimidating way. Every time I sat with him on set, watching him work, after they'd finished his makeup, the person on screen had those long, narrow eyes, lowered lids, and lashes so perfect he looked like an expensive doll. But when he'd look up, those eyes were full of intelligence and intuition. You couldn't look away. Every frame looked like a professionally retouched magazine cover. I was completely smitten with his looks. My phone was full of candid photos of him. Sometimes when I'd get too close trying to find the right angle, he'd get impatient. "Haven't you taken enough?" I'd shake my head. He'd grab my phone, expressionlessly take a dozen selfies, and toss it back to me. His tone was both fierce and affectionate. "Eat first." Lucas actually came from a pretty well-off family. We were neighbors growing up. In school, he was constantly being approached by talent scouts, but he didn't seem interested in pursuing entertainment at the time. Until I managed to talk him into taking the plunge into Hollywood with my persuasive arguments. Initially, we didn't sign with any agency. I'd take his headshots to sets every day, approaching directors to pitch him directly. Lucas started with a few supporting roles, which generated some buzz online. But fame brings problems. With Lucas's personality, there was no way he could tolerate Hollywood's unspoken rules. He offended some powerful people and lost their support. Hollywood is full of beautiful people. Soon, Lucas became a semi-invisible actor, and everyone he'd crossed before took their shots at him whenever they could. A male actor who debuted around the same time as Lucas invited me to dinner, offering me a high salary and asking me to become his manager instead. "You have to look forward," he said. With Lucas's spoiled rich boy attitude, he'll never amount to anything. "Jenna, I admire you. A smart, beautiful girl like you shouldn't limit your future and life because of him. Besides, you're so good to him, but I can see he just takes you for granted." I couldn't hold back. I threw my milk tea right in his face. Just then, a swarm of paparazzi appeared out of nowhere, snapping photos frantically. I froze. This was a setup. In the chaos, a guy in a baseball cap and black mask pushed through the crowd and pulled me away. The moment his hand touched mine, I knew. It was Lucas. During that period, I was completely destroyed by online harassment. Lucas got dragged through the mud along with me. We hid in my tiny apartment, and Lucas wouldn't let me look at my phone or go online. For the first time, I truly understood what cyberbullying meant. I'd have nightmares about people chasing me, screaming insults. One night, I woke up in a cold sweat. Lucas was holding me, wiping the perspiration from my forehead. I was drenched and clammy. "Lucas, when people were attacking you before, what did you think about?" He was never much of a talker, but that day he was unusually patient in explaining, "When you choose this path, you understand that words can be weapons. It's impossible not to care, not to let it affect you. But your life's focus isn't on them. Your focus is on me and your family. We love you, and that's enough." That was the first time Lucas told me he loved me. I assumed he meant as family. It wasn't until Lucas made his comeback, a show that no one expected to succeed became the biggest hit of the season, breaking through the noise to dominate the ratings, that I got sick. A sickness that couldn't be cured. Lucas became incredibly busy, constantly attending industry events and award ceremonies. And I decided to secretly go abroad. I found Lucas a new assistant and told him I wanted to take a 6-month sabbatical. He wasn't happy about it and cut my vacation time in half. Save the rest for when we vacation together. The day I left for the airport, Lucas came to see me off. Same baseball cap, same black mask, no assistant or security. He was frowning, looking down at me with reproach in his eyes. "Why couldn't you pick somewhere warmer? Finland is freezing." It was strange. I'd met so many male actors, but only with Lucas did his puppy dog expressions not seem ridiculous. Maybe I loved him too much. Every gesture, every word, every expression, I loved it all. I patted my suitcase. I'm all prepared. Lucas suddenly asked, "What was that hospital visit about last month? What kind of illness?" I'd been taking time off since my hospital visit last month, and we hadn't seen each other much. His sudden question made me nervous. "Just a minor stomach issue," I laughed. The diagnosis had been so sudden. The day I went to the hospital, they basically gave me a death sentence. Lucas was still frowning. I couldn't help reaching up to smooth the lines away. "Lucas, you're going to keep getting better and better. I'll watch you reach the very top of Hollywood and become the brightest star." Lucas caught my hand, squeezed it, then let go. He told me, "Jenna, come home soon." He got a call. The company needed him back urgently. The moment he turned away, tears started streaming down my face. I wanted to tell him I was in love with him, but that would have been selfish. Better to keep those feelings buried forever. The moon doesn't know what's in my heart. I hoped my star would never know I loved him. But after I left, Lucas lost the Oscar race. He should have won. He missed out on Best Actor by a narrow margin. Over the next year, his performances suffered. Several films in a row where he just wasn't at his best. Every time he was photographed, he looked exhausted and unkempt. I knew there was a word that lived in both our hearts: regret. So I wandered by the river Styx for 3 years. I lost count of how many times I drank from the river of forgetfulness. They couldn't make me cross over. That's how I got the chance to return to the living world, to see Lucas again. I also wanted to know, was his current state because of my sudden departure, or because he'd missed out on that Oscar? Anna drove me to Lucas's mansion and left me at the front gate. Before leaving, she warned me, he has a new manager now. Don't cross her. She's gotten a bit full of herself because Lucas treats her well. But I can't really say anything. Lucas has been acting strange lately. Just be careful. After Anna left, I stood at the gate. Lucas had bought this mansion just before I left. He'd even reserved the best room for me, with the perfect view. Back then, we'd often work late into the night discussing scripts and business, so staying over was common. I used to joke, I'll have to be more careful about appearances now. Last time when you brought me home, the paparazzi photographed us and spread rumors that you were dating someone. Lucas lounged on the couch lazily. Let them talk. You're going to be with me for life anyway. Might as well get used to it early. My eyes had welled up then. Now, the person who would be with him for life had become someone else. I reached for the doorbell, but someone opened the door first. It was a woman. Short hair, very pale skin. Eyes like mine. The woman was dressed head to toe in designer clothes, talking on her phone. Seeing me, she jutted her chin toward me, gesturing for me to come in. Once inside this house, I'd visited countless times before it was even furnished. I suddenly felt awkward. Sitting in the beautifully decorated living room, I kept my hands folded on my knees. My palms were sweating. After finishing her call, the woman walked naturally to the kitchen and grabbed a bottle of water from the fridge. I stood up to take it from her, but she opened it and took a sip herself. Lucas is sleeping. Wake him up in 40 minutes, then get everything ready for his next appointment and wait for the driver. She hurried to the entryway to change shoes. Don't make a sound for those 40 minutes. He has trouble sleeping. If you wake him up, you'll lose this job. Before closing the door, she paused. I'm Sophie. Call me if you need anything. Sophie clicked away in her heels, efficient and confident. This was something I could never match. I'd worked with many professional managers before. They were indeed more professional than me, including Sophie. You could tell from just those few sentences what professional really meant. No wonder Lucas, despite not winning that Oscar, had become more laid back like before, but still maintained his position as a top-tier A-lister, with zero negative press. This was the advantage a professional team gave him. Not like when I used to take him around, stumbling blindly, constantly getting hurt, facing cold shoulders and cruel treatment. Now he had a better team. In the future, he'd only get better. Lucas was shooting a movie in the Utah Deserta suspense thriller. I packed his luggage, organizing all the personal items and clothes he'd need during filming. This was my specialty. 3 years ago, I could do the work of 5 people by myself. When Lucas started getting famous, he'd wanted to hire me an assistant. I was young then and never felt tired. I felt like I had endless energy every day. Why waste the money? I'd ask while packing his luggage. Are you tired of me? Want to replace me? He'd pause, then suddenly burst into uncontrollable laughter. Never. I could never let you go. I used to be pretty proud of myself, thinking Lucas was just used to having me as his manager. If someone else came along, he definitely wouldn't adapt well. But apparently, he was adapting just fine now. Looking at the room full of trophies and awards, my eyes started to well up again. My phone buzzed. I snapped back to reality and went into his walk-in closet to organize his clothes and personal items. Halfway through packing, I heard the sound of bottles clinking. Was he awake? I excitedly ran toward his bedroom door. The bedroom door was slightly ajar. Inside was pitch black. I could hear footsteps bumping into bottles. I knocked and walked right in, pulling open the curtains. Then I laid out the outfit I'd picked for him. Lucas, I'm Jenna, your new personal assistant. Sophie said. Get out. A low curse came from the darkness. Impatient, angry, and full of irritation. I froze. Lucas used to be grumpy when he woke up, but never this. Rude. What was wrong with him? I said quietly, I don't know how to get out. Lucas pulled the covers back over his head, turning toward the dark side of the room. He went back to sleep. He had indeed woken up 20 minutes earlier than Sophie had said. I had to wait another 20 minutes before knocking again. The door opened from inside. Lucas walked out, heading straight for the bathroom. As he passed me, he didn't even lift his eyes. Wow, this rude guy. 3 years ago, Lucas might not have been outgoing and warm, but he was never this cold and emotionless. Lucas had cut his hair much shorter. His face was thinner, his features sharper and more defined. His tight-lipped silence was very masculine. He wasn't a boy anymore. After his shower, he came out smelling like the familiar body wash I used to buy for him. Even after booking all those high-end brand deals, he'd never switched from this brand. 06. Lucas didn't wear the outfit I'd picked for him. Instead, he put on casual clothes. I followed behind him, reporting his schedule for the day. When Lucas got to the kitchen, he grabbed a bottle of ice water from the fridge. I made porridge and fried eggs. Want to try them? Lucas was always so well-behaved when he ate, and he ate with such obvious enjoyment. He'd eat bite after bite and never leave anything in his bowl. Watching him eat with such pleasure made me happy to cook for him. In the first couple years after graduation, when friends came over and saw me making nutritious meals for Lucas every day, they'd scold me, "You're spoiling him like this. What if he becomes successful and dumps you? Besides, you're his manager, not his housekeeper." Lucas overheard the word housekeeper. After that, whenever he had free time, he'd insist on learning to cook, no matter how much anyone argued. After eating his cooking twice, I had a serious talk with him. "Lucas, I'm your manager. I'm supposed to wear multiple hats. Don't feel guilty about it. I genuinely love cooking and making good food. I'm creating a star here. What kind of star spends all his time in the kitchen? You have time for this. You should be studying your craft instead." I served him some fish. I know you care about me like family. When we have money, we'll hire a chef to cook at home. Lucas looked at me, then at the fish in his bowl. His dark eyes lowered, lost in thought. He hummed in agreement and started eating with big bites. He peeled the shrimp he'd bought and put most of them in my bowl. When I told him to eat them himself, he said quietly, "I'm full. I'm dieting lately." Lucas's house was big now, and the kitchen was spacious too. But it felt cold and empty, lacking warmth. The fridge was full of fresh ingredients. Someone must deliver them daily. While Lucas ate his porridge, I couldn't help asking, "Lucas, do you still have time to cook at home?" Lucas ate very slowly. Just when I thought he wouldn't answer, he hummed softly. "When I don't have any shoots or appearances, I cook at home. Someone once told me to eat well." My heart jolted. That someone was me. He didn't finish the porridge. After putting down his bowl, I looked at him expectantly. "Lucas, it's a little salty." Damn, my cooking skills had definitely deteriorated over the years. Lucas took his bowl to the sink. I rushed to wash it. "You're an assistant, not a housekeeper. I can handle what I can handle myself. Also, relax a little. You don't need to be so nervous." Was I nervous? I hadn't even noticed. After taking a few phone calls, Lucas asked me, "Did you pack your stuff?" I nodded. "It's already in the car." Lucas dried his hands. His sleeves were rolled up, revealing his defined wrist bones and long fingers. I had a thing for hands. Back when I was infatuated with Lucas, besides his face, I was obsessed with his hands. Everything about him was beautiful. When we got in the car, I was about to sit next to him. Lucas looked at his phone without raising his head. "Sit in back. This seat is taken. Reserved for Sophie?" Just then, Sophie called me. She spoke quickly, with that authoritative executive energy. "Tell the driver to take Riverside Draveno traffic at this time. Meet us at airport entrance Bone in 30 minutes. Put me on with Lucas." I had it on speaker and handed the phone to Lucas. "Lucas, when will you get there?" Sophie's voice softened. "Don't worry, we definitely won't miss the flight." The window was half open with a breeze coming in, but I felt suffocated. It seemed like the seat beside him wasn't irreplaceable after all. I sat in the passenger seat. The music playing in the car was actually the same playlist I downloaded on Lucas's phone years ago. He really was sentimental. In my second year as Lucas's manager, we found a stray kitten. Black and white. We brought it home and cared for it for 6 months before the little cat got sick and died. Lucas and I contacted a pet crematorium in the middle of the night. During the cremation, Lucas smoked outside for a long time. When he came back up, I could see his eyes were red. After we buried the little cat, Lucas spent a whole week making a wool felt replica in a picture frame to keep at home. It looked just like our cat. He placed it carefully on the shelf, so gently. So I was disappointed, of course. After all these years together, there wasn't a single photo of me on his photo wall. I remembered we'd taken so many pictures together. I always got drowsy in cars. Once we hit the highway, I drowsily reached over and swiped the screen. I changed it to my favorite sleepy time song, Fly Me to the Moon. I remembered Lucas asking me before, "You really love this song that much?" I mumbled and turned over, finding a comfortable position. Not really, it just helps me sleep. Lucas. So every time Lucas and I went anywhere, he'd drive and I'd sleep. The moment I yawned, he'd naturally reach over and lower the volume. Drowsiness overtook me. I closed my eyes. In my hazy state, I thought I heard Lucas talking to the driver, "Turn it down." I woke up just as we arrived at the airport. Sophie naturally walked over and fell into step beside Lucas. After discussing some work matters, she suddenly turned to me, "Did you bring Lucas's script?" I was confused. What script? Where was it? What was it about? Sophie stopped walking and crossed her arms. She was already gearing up to give me a lecture. "We're going to shoot a movie, and the script isn't the most important thing you should check?" Sophie wore sunglasses and looked down at me condescendingly, scolding me in front of all these people. With my thin skin, I naturally didn't know how to respond. Sophie checked the time. "Go back and get it now. If you can make it back in time for the flight, I'll consider your probation period successful." There was still an hour until takeoff, but it was rush hour traffic. So, I was getting fired before I even started? How was I supposed to resolve this conflict? I was furious, but didn't dare speak up. I was about to get back in the car with a stone face when Lucas spoke. I didn't sleep well and startled her. "The script is on my bed. It's not her fault." Sophie seemed surprised that Lucas would suddenly defend me, but not being prepared is still her mistake. Although Lucas was fully disguised and you couldn't see his face, some people were already looking our way. Lucas laughed. "How about you go back and get it?" When Lucas was truly angry, he'd laugh too. But that invisible sense of pressure was something even someone as familiar with him as I was would fear. He was saying this to Sophie. Sophie getting in the car and slamming the door was pretty satisfying. I giggled for a while. Lucas walked past me with a cool comment, "Keep laughing and we'll miss the flight." I immediately followed. Sophie naturally missed the flight. Her original seat next to Lucas was empty. I was about to go to my assigned seat when Lucas unbuttoned his jacket with one hand, nodding toward the seat beside him. "Here." I suddenly felt shy. Lucas, like this, was pretty seductive. Good thing I still had my mask on. I swallowed and plopped down. Then, fell into another blissful sleep. When we landed, someone opened the window shade. I woke up. I turned to see Lucas with his hand supporting his chin, watching me. My heart skipped. Had he noticed something? Jenna. He was saying my name. But the way the syllables came out of his mouth, it felt like he was just tasting the sound. Was he daydreaming? "Lucas, you remind me of someone." That was such a forward thing to say. I laughed awkwardly. I am someone. The flight attendant was already announcing that we could deplane, but Lucas didn't move. He was still lost in thought. I hurriedly started unbuckling his seatbelt for him. As I leaned in close, he said softly, "Jenny?" My hands shook uncontrollably. I quickly pretended nothing happened. "I'm Jenna, Lucas." He went quiet. After a long silence, he unbuckled his seatbelt and walked away. I breathed a sigh of relief. Could I really resolve our unfinished business under this new identity? The filming conditions were much better than before. Plus, Lucas now owned half of his production company, so the treatment was excellent. As soon as Lucas arrived, I saw all the young actors looking at him with worship and admiration. "Mr. Reed, I'm so excited to work with you. Mr. Reed, can we take a photo together? Lucas, photos aren't allowed, but I can sign something." The young actor nodded eagerly. "Yes, yes!" Watching Lucas surrounded by admirers, I felt so proud. My star boy had grown into a moon. During the catered meal, I was amazed. True A-list treatment, they even flew in fresh seafood. But Lucas didn't have much appetite. After eating a little, he told me, "You finish all of this." Was there really such a good deal? Then he called over the production coordinator, "Don't order special meals for me anymore. I'll eat the same boxed lunches as everyone else. Spend the money where it's needed. There are plenty of post-production costs coming up." I chewed on salmon while watching him speak. 5 years ago, Lucas and I had also filmed in the desert. But back then, Lucas was just a supporting character, and our treatment on set wasn't great. Sometimes we couldn't even get a hot meal. The crew would serve the freshest hot food to the director and the bigger stars first. The cold leftovers went to supporting actors like Lucas and background players. Sometimes when we'd open our lunchboxes crouched in the tent, if it was a windy day, we'd end up eating sand with our rice. We were poor then and couldn't afford the fancy trailers that stars used. At night, we'd squeeze into a tent to sleep. It was cold, and we'd huddle in our sleeping bags, listening to the howling wind and snow outside the tent. Lucas's voice was low and pleasant. "Still cold?" I was chattering through clenched teeth, but still said not cold. Lucas unzipped his sleeping bag and spread it over me, then just lay down in his down jacket. I tried to give the sleeping bag back to him. "Get warm first, then give it back." He put his arm out and pressed me back down. I lay back down, hiding my face in the sleeping bag. My heart was pounding. The temperature rose instantly. After a long while, Lucas fell asleep. When I woke up, my hands and feet were sweating from the heat. I covered him with the sleeping bag. The night sky was full of stars. The beautiful, eerie landscape of the Utah desert stretched endlessly. And Lucas was right beside me. It was an unprecedented experience. I secretly made a wish. 5 years later, that wish finally came true. Lucas had become the star that people looked up to. Even though I wasn't by his side, I believed he would continue climbing to the pinnacle he was reaching for. This time, we were here to film a suspense thriller scheduled for holiday release Black Gun. After joining the production, Lucas discovered that the originally cast leading lady had been replaced. I'd seen the script from someone else. The female lead was originally supposed to be Emma Chen, a respected dramatic actress. But 2 days before filming started, they were notified of the change. She was replaced by Madison York, a social media influencer and daughter of a media mogul. The moment Lucas saw Madison, his expression darkened. He immediately made several phone calls. When he came back, he still looked upset. I was too familiar with this kind of situation. Even though it was Lucas's own production company, if the other half of the partnership agreed to let Madison buy her way into the role, Lucas couldn't really refuse. But the consequence was Lucas refused to cooperate with filming. Madison's acting was truly terrible. When Lucas performed opposite her, she couldn't keep up at all. Lines, eye contact, chemistry. Everything Lucas gave her, she completely failed to catch. A whole day was wasted, and many crew members were grumbling. I went over to the director. This can't continue. We need to solve the immediate problem. Could you talk to the company again? If we can replace her, that would be best. You think the company is yours to run? We've already started filming. You think you can just replace people whenever you want? A female voice interrupted from behind. It was Sophie. She glanced at me dismissively. You're just an intern assistant shooting your mouth off? Do you know how hard it'll be for Lucas if he offends the wrong people? The director was already annoyed and sat there silently with his tea. Entertainment industry politics happen all the time, I said quietly. If we let things go this way, this movie's holiday box office will definitely suffer. Sophie's temper flared. Is it your turn to speak? You've been working as an intern assistant for how long? 5 years, I said softly. I have experience. Sophie laughed coldly. Your ID says you're 23. Where did you get 5 years of experience? I was speechless. I'm warning you, if you keep speaking out of turn like this, pack your bags and go home. Sophie didn't finish her sentence. She was interrupted by a male voice. I believe she's supposed to be my assistant. Lucas's voice wasn't loud, but it was enough for everyone on set to hear. Sophie, if you're not comfortable with the environment here, you can go back. Sophie seemed to have trouble accepting that Lucas was defending me. After all, she'd been with Lucas for 3 years, and in everyone's eyes, she was the person closest to him. Lucas, I'm your manager. Lucas seemed to lose patience and smiled. Executive manager. Sophie's expression darkened. I knew it. No matter how much I do, I'll never measure up to your original manager. What's to compare? Lucas's smile turned cruel. What are you competing with a dead person for? My chest tightened. I couldn't tell if he was defending my memory or telling Sophie not to get the wrong idea. Sophie's eyes were already red. But Lucas moved past her like an emotionless machine and sat in the chair next to the director. The work is what matters. I suddenly felt depressed too. To him, I was just a dead person. Sophie ran off to one side. I crouched nearby, looked at Lucas, then moved closer to hint that he should go comfort her. She seems really upset. Lucas stretched out his long legs, resting his elbows on his knees. He shook the script in his hand and glanced at me sideways. What about you? Doesn't it hurt at all to be yelled at? This was nothing. Following Lucas for all those years, I'd heard every kind of nasty comment. Passive-aggressive remarks, outright insults. I was used to it all. I shook my head. Everyone has different opinions. That's life. Lucas suddenly stood up and threw his script on the chair. We're not filming today. Whoa, why the sudden tantrum? In all my years with Lucas, I'd rarely seen him truly lose his temper. Except for one time, when I went to pitch for a role for him. Lucas had offended a veteran actor, and many directors wouldn't hire him. I finally managed to get him a third male lead role. The assistant director privately invited me to dinner. I didn't think much of it, then just wanted to thank him. I told Lucas I was having dinner with a friend and went alone. Lucas had another event that evening. The assistant director kept pushing drinks on me. When his hand landed on my shoulder, I finally sensed something was wrong. Before I got completely drunk, I sent Lucas my location. When Lucas kicked down the door, I could barely stand. That assistant director got beaten pretty badly, lost 2 teeth. That was the first time I saw Lucas in a rage. He beat the guy ruthlessly, silently. He was usually so laid back, did everything slowly and leisurely. But his fists weren't slow at all when he was beating someone up. Fortunately, I'd recorded everything that night, and the assistant director ended up in jail. When Lucas drove me home that night, I huddled in the car. I tried to stay calm, but my hands kept shaking. I was also worried. Offending someone like that means even fewer people will want to cast you. Lucas hit the brakes and pulled over. He looked at my wrinkled, torn clothes. Not being an actor wouldn't be the worst thing. I can still provide for myself. I thought he meant provide for himself. I smiled bitterly. Bro, it's not just about money for me. I want to create stars. I do it for money, but also for dreams. After that, whenever I had to go to networking events, Lucas would come with me, even though he hated them. Now, he'd suddenly lost his temper here. Madison, who'd bought her way into the production, was terrified and didn't know what to do. Madison might be rich, but she wasn't really spoiled. After joining the cast, she tried to help out and humbly learned from the experienced actors. She might lack natural talent and need more time to adjust. Bottom line, this role just didn't fit her at all. During lunch, Madison stood nearby, staring at me for a long time. I turned around. Something wrong? Madison nodded a bit embarrassedly and handed me a bag of bubble tea. Is Mr. Reed still angry? I thought about Lucas's appetite at lunch seemed normal. Nah, he's not angry. Madison sat down next to me with a frustrated expression. I really didn't mean for this to happen. My manager told me about joining the cast 2 days ago. I had no idea it was such an important role. I'm kind of scared. Could you help me apologize to Mr. Reed? I stuck in my straw. First sip, I got a tapioca pearl. Mood instantly improved. Apologizing won't help. Madison's face fell again, crumpling like a ball. Then what do I do? Should I just call my dad and quit? Sniff. You can't quit. I chewed my pearls. The press release went out this morning. You're already being promoted as one of this film's major draws. You've already generated a second wave of attention. I patted her shoulder. If you trust me, you can switch roles. There was another female character in the script with less screen time but crucial importance. She played Lucas's daughter, a high school student. On a rainy night, she's murdered by a man in black, and Lucas, as her father, begins a solo journey of tracking down the killer across the country. Madison gasped, but someone's already cast for that role. I smiled. Lucky coincidence that actress called in sick this morning. Madison held her head. My dad will kill me. He always thinks these kinds of roles are bad luck. I patted her shoulder. Trust me. I'll coach you through the scenes when we film. If you can pull it off, this role could be your gateway into serious acting. Madison nodded vigorously. You're so professional. I wish you were my manager. All of Mr. Reed's managers are amazing. Especially his first manager such. A shame what happened. I laughed dryly. What's so sad about it? Mr. Reed finally made it big, but the person who walked that whole journey with him isn't here anymore. Madison sighed. If that were me, I'd be devastated. I propped my chin on my hand and sighed too. I don't think he seems very heartbroken. Madison made a surprised sound, eyes wide. You don't know? Know what? I was confused. Madison, right after Mr. Place. Reed's first manager left. He was hospitalized. Me? I definitely didn't know that. When I first crossed over, I spent a long time wandering by the river Styx. I only heard bits and pieces about Lucas's situation later from other souls who'd crossed over. Madison leaned in and whispered, Depression. I heard he tried to kill himself. I used to be a huge fan. I knew everything about him. My brain went numb. I hadn't seen any scars on his arms when he'd rolled up his sleeves after showering. Madison continued mysteriously. The watch on Mr. Reed's left wrist never takes it off. So that's why. The bubble tea suddenly tasted sickeningly sweet, sticking in my throat. My throat felt all gummy and uncomfortable. I said quietly, maybe it was because he didn't win that Oscar. Madison made a thoughtful sound. That's possible too. For actors like Mr. Reed who pursue absolute perfection, they're basically artists. Maybe he really couldn't handle missing out on that. After Madison left, I stood at the door of the trailer. I knocked. No answer. I walked right in. Lucas was sleeping. He was leaning back in a single chair, wearing just a dress shirt. I found a blanket to cover him with. My hand accidentally touched his leg above the knee. So thin. I bent down and felt his pant leg, my eyes stinging. How had he gotten so skinny? Before, he'd watched his figure, but I thought I'd kept him pretty healthy and well-fed. Only now did I dare to really look at his face. His cheeks had hollowed out. I took a deep breath and reached to move the watch from his wrist. He didn't move. His eyelids fluttered slightly, but he didn't wake up. When I moved the watch, it revealed a long, shocking scar underneath. A big tear fell on his hand. I frantically wiped it away and let go. Jenny? His wrist was suddenly gripped, so tight, I couldn't break free. I was so scared, I nearly jumped out of my skin. My heart was pounding so loud it was deafening. Lucas's eyes were half closed, then confusion flickered across them. A few seconds later, he saw it was me and rubbed his temples. Sorry. Mistook you for someone else. My heart was still racing. To avoid awkwardness, I made conversation. I heard Jenny was your former manager? 06. Must have been an important friend. Lucas didn't answer that question. Instead, he asked, "What's up?" I told him about Madison's situation. He hummed in agreement, and when he looked at me again, there was approval in his eyes. Good thinking. I grinned. But have you considered who's going to play the female lead? We've already offended Emma Chen. Where are we going to find a new leading lady on such short notice? Lucas was right. But I already had my own plan. Me, don't worry about it. Before I left, Lucas suddenly said, "Why did you want to become a manager?" I said quietly, "Because witnessing the birth of a star is intoxicating. Some people are born for the screen, and some people are born for behind the scenes." After I left the trailer, Madison ran over waving her phone excitedly. She must have gotten things arranged on her end. Everything was ready except for the female lead. Early the next morning, someone ripped open my tent. It was Sophie. She looked exhausted. Obviously hadn't slept well. "Jenna, are you sick?" Sophie looked frazzled. "Get out here right now." I got dressed and slowly emerged. Before we even reached the set, Sophie started talking, Sorry, director. This assistant is just an intern. Let's stick with the original plan, okay?" She turned to me. "What were you thinking, giving random directions? Is filmmaking some kind of game? 06. Switching people around, how are we supposed to shoot?" Listening to her rant, I interjected, "You're absolutely right. Switching people around, how are we supposed to shoot?" Sophie froze. Emma was the perfect actress for this role, practically made for it. She could suddenly replace what's she supposed to think. Sophie laughed angrily. "Fine. Then you tell me who's going to play the female lead? Where are we going to find someone new right now?" Sophie looked at Madison. Madison shook her head like a bobblehead. No way. I really can't handle that role. Me, we don't need to find anyone. Same recipe, same actress, Emma Chen. Sophie scoffed. Don't you know she's privately said she'll never work with our company again? I shook my head. Give it another half hour. Sophie, what, you're going to magic up a leading lady in 30 minutes? In 30 minutes, I'll solve the female lead problem. I turned to the director. Director, if I solve this, can I participate in the behind-the-scenes work on this film? Lucas said something to the director, and the director shrugged no problem. Sophie, Jenna, if you can't solve this in 30 minutes, you're automatically fired. Midway through, Madison whispered to me. After I talked to the director yesterday, they tried finding replacements again. All the actresses with the right schedule and acting ability are busy. What's your secret plan? 0, 6. I was mysterious. Just wait. Madison wrinkled her nose. You're just like Lucas, you both talk and act so slowly, never in a hurry. I was like him? I was surprised at first, then thought it made sense. After all, I'd been like his shadow for years, spending every day together. Our habits, thoughts, and speech patterns would naturally influence each other. Madison patted my shoulder. Even if you get fired, it's okay. Come be my manager then. Just as she finished speaking, a red SUV came speeding up. The passenger door opened. A pair of long legs in leather pants and boots jumped out. It was Emma Chen. After the initial shock, the whole crew erupted in cheers. Madison gave me a bear hug. Jenna, you're my goddess. After greeting the crew, Emma looked around. I'd like to talk to an assistant named Jenna. When she saw me, Emma asked, "Want to chat in the car?" Once in the car, Emma immediately leaned over and gave me a hug so tight I almost suffocated. Jenny. Before she even spoke, I felt wetness on my neck. Jenny. Emma had also been one of my clients for 3 years. When she later switched companies and broke her contract, it was my idea, because that company's positioning and resources were better suited for her. After we talked, Emma asked, "Does Lucas know you're back?" I looked down and played with my fingers. No, and he doesn't need to know. Emma, you like him, don't you? Actually, I think he also. I interrupted her. If you loved someone but knew you could never be with them, what would you do? Emma, I'd choose to experience the process. But I was scared. I wanted to know what Lucas thought of me, but I was also afraid to know. If he did love me, this reunion might just hurt him again. Someone knocked on the car window. It was Lucas. Lucas wanted to go over the script with Emma. I obediently walked away. I ran into Sophie head-on. When she saw me, she wouldn't even look at me. As she passed by, she said, "Lucky you this time." Jenna, I've worked for 3 years to get where I am with Lucas. What are you exactly? I'm warning you don't cross me again. I have plenty of ways to get you fired from the company. You don't need to fire me. Once this movie wraps and Lucas wins his Oscar, I'm leaving. I said okay and ignored her expression as I walked away. With Emma's addition, filming went smoothly. All seasoned actors with proven talent. Emma and Lucas had worked together before, plus a good director. The shoot proceeded without a hitch. I heard crew members praising Lucas. Lucas is in such great form this time. His acting is explosive. I can feel how deep into character he is, even through the monitor. I got goosebumps. This is Lucas Reed at his peak. I saw him film 3 years ago. It was like a pinnacle moment. I feel like he's got that magic back, maybe even deeper than before. This movie is definitely going to be huge. Watching Lucas on the monitor, his character was meant to be disheveled dry, peeling skin on his face, looking weathered. Though it was partly makeup, what amazed me was the natural weariness and cold intensity in his eyes. It was perfectly authentic. In this moment, he truly was that lone tracker who'd been hunting a killer for 10 years. I got a little teary-eyed. I remembered once when Lucas played an autistic character, he had trouble coming out of the role for a long time. I put aside all my other work and stayed with him every day, keeping him company. I lost 10 pounds during that period. Lucas eventually pulled through and learned how to transition flexibly between characters and reality. I still had complete faith in him. He'd become an independent, successful, excellent actor. When it was time for Madison's scenes, maybe because she was too nervous, she couldn't remember 2 simple lines. Half the morning was wasted again. Some crew members were getting impatient. After finishing my tasks, I went to find Madison. The moment she saw me, she burst into tears. "Cry! Keep going!" I nodded for her to release her emotions. "Cry louder." Madison's crying was impressively powerful. After a good sob, her eyes were red and swollen, and she couldn't stop sniffling. "Remember this feeling?" I touched her head. Helpless, scared, confused. I gestured toward the bloody knife, at a touch of terror. I snapped my fingers. "Can someone dim the lights to the lowest setting?" The lights immediately went dark, plunging the room into deathly silence. Madison reached out, voice breaking. "It's so dark." "Jenna, where are you?" No one answered her. Fear washed over Madison. The panic and terror on her face, on her makeup-free features, looked incredibly real. I tapped the cameraman's shoulder. Action. Madison's scene was successfully completed. She was still shaken, her legs weak. An assistant helped her sit down while Emma came over to comfort her and praise her performance. Lucas walked over and handed me a cup of bubble tea. Hot. I was a bit surprised. Madison said bubble tea was hard to get last time. Lucas, not really. When I looked like I wanted to ask more, he cut me off. "Just drink your tea." "You talk too much." I slowly chewed the tapioca pearls. Lucas watched me chew, then suddenly said, "Want to hear the story about me and Jenny?" I was going to shake my head. But for some reason, as if possessed, I nodded. Jenny was my first manager. Maybe for my whole life, she'll be my only real manager. Getting into entertainment was completely her idea, basically tricked me into it. But every time I saw her eyes light up when she talked about future plans, about dreams, about my acting career, I'd get swept up in her enthusiasm. In her eyes, it seemed like she could really see a brilliant, shining galaxy. So beautiful. Actually, Jenny was known for her looks in school too, but she was completely focused on working behind the scenes. She wanted to be the person who created stars. Because of work, we were together almost 247. I saw her at her most casual messy, picking her feet, completely makeup-free. I saw it all. But somehow, I really liked that authentic side of her. The entertainment industry is strange and surreal. Fame and scandal can change overnight. Everything feels fake. Only she was real. Only she was always with me. She could always pull me to shore when I was drowning. She was truly amazing, like a little sun that never stopped shining, bustling around, always reaching upward. Though she could be careless in daily life, and friends sometimes said I seemed more like the assistant while she was the star, only I knew, in my lowest, most lost, most helpless moments, she was the one frantically, constantly tapping my shoulder to wake me up. "Get up, Lucas." "Look, Lucas." "Try this, Lucas." She was using her highest temperature, her full strength to embrace me. But why did she leave without even saying goodbye? We were partners, family, friends, love. Lovers. What right did she have to just abandon me and walk away? I was all alone. How was I supposed to keep going? Jenny, without you, I couldn't move at all. 3 days after attending her funeral, I made an irrational choice. Watching the blood spread across the floor, my consciousness fading, I suddenly remembered if I left like this, she would hate me forever. She said I was her greatest accomplishment in life. I was the most brilliant achievement on her arsum. She'd spent all her energy helping me reach my acting career. She wanted me to live healthily and happily. And here I was, destroying myself. I didn't even deserve to join her. I knew if I went to her like this, she'd never forgive me. But I seemed to have lost all motivation to live. Life was black and white, work was tedious, Food had no taste. I wanted to dream about her, but she never came to me. Last month, when I had a fever and was delirious, I actually dreamed about her once. If I'd known I could dream about her, I wouldn't have bothered taking fever medicine. I turned my face away, my cheeks already wet. I tried to steady my breathing and asked, "If you could see her now, what would you want to say?" "Lucas, I just want to hear her say goodbye in person. Want to hug her again, touch her face, ask her how she's doing." Over there. I fought back my sobs, steadying my voice. "She can hear you. And she's definitely doing well, because she knows you're doing well, and that's all she needs to be satisfied." Just as my emotions were about to collapse completely, Emma came over at the perfect moment and called me away. Once we were out of his sight, I completely broke down, holding onto Emma's arm and sobbing uncontrollably. The rest of the filming went even more smoothly. Madison, influenced by the talented actors around her, kept improving her performance. Even though she didn't have any more scenes, she privately recorded some acting challenge videos and posted them online. Fans responded positively. Madison's acting has improved. This isn't just fan bias, right? Even haters were becoming neutral. This girl's acting is actually not bad. If she stopped the nepotism casting, I'd definitely become a fan. Random viewers, no filter, no beauty apps, total stranger, hear her acting has definitely improved. I'm guessing it's because she joined that Black Gun cast full of serious actors. Madison even replied to comments, "Yes. I met an amazing manager who taught me how to act. She's Mr. Lucas Reed's new assistant. Crying, want to steal her away." After 4 months in the desert, we wrapped filming. On the flight home, I automatically headed for the seat next to Lucas. Sophie clicked her tongue. "Is that your seat?" I checked my ticket tab. Apparently my seat was next to Lucas this time. "Lucas, Jenna. Need to talk to you." I said okay and sat down happily. After I sat down, he didn't say anything. Maybe he was tired from filming. Before the plane even took off, he fell asleep. During this period, I'd been managing Lucas's social media accounts. I took his phone to snap a photo of the blue sky outside the cabin window, planning to post it before turning off the phone. But I suddenly noticed this wasn't his usual account. A private account? I casually scrolled through it. With just one glance, I couldn't scroll anymore. February 4, 2019. Jenny, this is the first New Year's Eve without you. I'm filming with the crew today. The New Year's Eve dinner was nice, but the dumplings still weren't as good as the ones we made ourselves. Because you weren't there to put walnuts inside. I remember 2 years ago you put coins in them, wanting to give me luck, deliberately serving them to me, but I chipped my tooth on the coin. After that, you never put coins in again, only walnuts. But every year, I still got dumplings with walnuts inside. This winter is really cold. You always hated the coldest. It cold where you are? I kept scrolling February 10, 2019. The awards show people told me I'm definitely going to win Best Actor. I made a decision. I declined. I'm not attending. This award is half yours, but if you're not coming, how can I have the nerve to accept it? Jenny, I don't have the courage to go on stage and accept an award alone. I'd imagined this moment countless times. Me winning Best Actor, and you sitting in the most visible seat, looking proud, clapping for me. Then I'd tell everyone loudly that I want to thank you, the most important person in my life. It's you, Jenny. February 14, 2019. Jenny, today is Valentine's Day. Who are you spending it with? I saw a cat downstairs that looked like Mimi, but I know it's not her. You both went to the same place and will never come back, no matter how similar they look. February 19, 2019. Jenny, did you eat sweet rice balls today? I threw up after one bite. My appetite isn't good probably because you didn't make them. February 22, 2019. No filming or appearances today, just lying at home. But why is my head full of you talking to me? March 6, 2019. I got sick today. Nothing serious, don't worry. July 3, 2019. Jenny, I won a big award today, but you couldn't see it again. If only you were here, you'd be so proud of me. September 8, 2022. Jenny, I met a girl who looks so much like you. She's my new assistant. She's incredibly similar to you. Except for her face and voice, you two are basically the same person. But how could someone come back from the dead? If she really were you, I think. She wouldn't stay long either. Reading this, I covered my mouth. Did he know? Or had he figured something out? October 3, 2022. No matter who she is, I've already understood what you wanted to tell me. I'll live well, work well. The meaning of life you told me long ago. I was just pretending not to know. When the plane landed, my eyes were swollen like walnuts. I put on sunglasses and hurried back to my apartment. For the next period, I tried to avoid direct contact with Lucas. Until the film was successfully released. As expected, the movie was a hit with rave reviews. Explosive acting. Everyone's performance is on point. 0, 6. Amazing plot. Even better leads. 5 stars. Haven't seen such a great film in years. I'm seeing it 3 times. Incredible. The pinnacle of domestic suspense films. Bet Lucas Reed gets nominated for Best Actor again this year? Drop the bet if he doesn't win. I'll eat my hat. 6 months later, at the International Film Festival, Black Gun swept numerous awards. Emma was nominated for Best Actress, and even Madison got a Best Supporting Actress nomination for her brief but stunning performance. Lucas won Best Actor. A well-deserved Oscar win. Lucas walked onto the stage in a gray suit that made his perfect features even more striking. His eyes scanned the audience. This award represents so many people's hard work and dedication. Today, I'm also here to accept this award for someone very important to me. She left me long ago, but I know she's still with me. We achieved our dream. Jenny. When he said that name, his gaze slowly, tenderly settled on me. His moment of glory, I finally got to witness it. After the ceremony, Lucas found me. When are you leaving? Soon. I smiled. When did you know? Lucas, the first moment I saw you. Me, were you scared? Lucas, terrified. Terrified. This was a dream. Lucas, come with me somewhere. 20 minutes later, we were sitting in a small photography studio. Lucas, will you take wedding photos with me? I laughed until I cried. Aren't you afraid of tabloid rumors if someone sees the photos? 0, 6. Lucas, let them talk. I wiped away his tears. Lucas pulled out a ring from his jacket and slipped it on my finger. I bought this a long time ago. I was going to propose the day I first won an award. Maybe it's a bit late, but Jenny, will you marry me? I nodded, sobbing. The ring fit perfectly. He leaned down and kissed my lips. Jenny, I have no regrets now. As our tears mixed, I felt my body becoming lighter. The photographer had been asked to leave by Lucas. He set the camera to self-timer mode and walked over to sit beside me, his arm around my waist. I sat down too, forcing myself to smile perfectly at the camera. My body gradually became transparent. Lucas looked at the camera, but I knew he was crying, tears streaming down his face. In the last moment before my body dissolved completely, Lucas caught my hand. With infinite reverence, he knelt on one knee and gently kissed the back of my hand. Goodbye, my bride. Goodbye, my Lucas. My moon. This time, we finally got to say goodbye properly.